Welcome. In an effort to begin understanding how money grows or how we will end up paying monies back, so borrowing or investing money, looking at interest earned there, as we begin to try to understand this, we will consider simple interest. And simple interest, so this is an interest-only computation, not a future value computation initially here, but an interest computation. It's very simple. We take whatever amount is invested or is borrowed, we multiply it by the interest rate and the amount of time that it is invested or borrowed. Pretty simple computation here. So again, we're going to consider the interest to be calculated as, hey, I borrowed this or I invested this amount of money. It's earning some interest or I have to pay back some interest, and that is depending on both how much I borrowed or invested and how long that money is being borrowed or invested. So we want to determine the amount of interest earned in a couple of circumstances here. So let's say we invest $2,000 at 3% simple interest for 10 years. Now, the reality is you're not going to invest in at a simple interest scenario, right? Your interest rates will be given as simple interest rates. However, the computation is not done as simple interest. So for this example, the interest earned by investing $2,000 at 3%. And so the interest rate here, percentage as a decimal, 0.03. So we have 0.03 as our value for R, and then we're going to multiply that by 10. So I'm using parentheses here to place my values for R and T inside of, so that way I can see these two things as the numbers of interest, right? The variables of interest here. So R is inside of parentheses, T is inside of parentheses. Yeah, lots of different ways to write that. So if you have a preferred method, that's fine. Just make sure that it doesn't look like 20,000 and 310 thousandths, right? That sort of thing. So make sure the multiplication is clear. Anyway, let's see. Perform the computation. This turns out to be 600. So the interest earned is $600. That's what we were interested in finding there. Now, you might say, why $2,000? Why 3%? Why 10 years, right? Just to give a little bit of context here, you can invest your money in bank accounts, right? So many people have checking accounts, savings accounts. You can actually utilize what are called money market accounts. They have a better yield, that is a better percentage return over simply a savings account or even a checking account typically, though I think they can be classified as checking accounts themselves. Anyway, so these money market accounts, a lot of them have a $2,000 minimum balance, and then those interest rates are around 3% as of right now. So that's kind of a long-term commitment because you'll have money coming in and out of there. It's just the bank account that you're using. On the other hand, you might invest in something like a CD, which is typically shorter term, as few as 3 months or usually up to a year. Here, 2 years might be the scenario of reinvesting in a CD, that is a certificate of deposit. Those interest rates are a little bit better. The more money you invest and the longer you invest it, the better the interest rate as well. So anyway, so you might have a small amount that you want to invest for, maybe a little bit longer in terms of what a CD usually is. But so suppose you invest $1,234 at 4% simple interest for 2 years. So just again, that simple interest computation here. So the interest earned is going to be the $1,234 invested at 4%. So again, we want to recognize that this 4%, percent as a decimal, is 0.04, and then multiply that by the 2 years that the money is invested. That gives us $98.72. No rounding has occurred there. That is precisely what we find. So the interest earned is $98.72. Again, simple interest isn't how interest is typically calculated, and usually we're also interested in that final value. So for example, easy computation here, we invest $2,000, 3% simple interest for 10 years. At the end, what we end up with is $2,600 because we have that initial amount plus the interest earned in the investment. All right, that's it. Thank you for your time.